Hi there! Finally, I can make another video. So many things happened in the past few months. To keep it short, I just finished my bachelor degree as an IT student. Now that I have more free time than ever, I decided to put more effort into making game development, or to be more specific in my case, game programmer, a career. I know the only time I show you my quote-unquote skill is this simple. But believe me, many things happened since then. At the time of recording, it's been around 10 to 11 months since I dived into some quote-unquote works surrounding the game development. I had 5 to 6 months doing internships as a game programmer, did a couple of freelance jobs, and a couple of interviews and tests applying to game studios. I'm currently still working as a freelance on a small project, while just recently starting to work as a junior game developer in a game studio. So yeah, in the grand scale, I know it's very small amount of experience. But even then, I learned a couple of things that I wish I knew or did earlier, and in this video, I want to share those things. So yeah, here are things I wish I knew or did earlier before I start working as a game developer. Disclaimer, this is like POV from a newcomer. So yeah, this might be not the most convincing video ever, but trust me, I will share something. First, for the love of God, I wish I am more prepared to face the abundant amount of things that need to be learned or keep up to date. Like many professions in life, you have to know many things around it. And with the advancement of studies and technologies, many professions evolve with new tools and techniques to learn. Many of those tools were made to make game development easier, but that doesn't mean it's easy to understand. Now saying this, do I think someone who wants to make a video game for a living needs to know everything about it? Of course no. Why I am talking about it is that I wish I am more prepared before facing this reality. I wish I start with the mentality that it is a never-ending process of learning and accept the fact that things might move really fast. I also wish I am used to keeping up to date with things around game development earlier. This is actually not that hard. You can start following or subscribing to some content creators who talk about these things, or maybe following events where they talk about the new and hot things. Most of the time, I feel like you don't need to fully understand it immediately. As long as you get the picture of what's new and what's coming in the future, it can be a huge help in the long run. The second thing I want to talk about is quite specific to game programmers, and that is learning about design principles and design patterns. This is related to previous point that I mentioned, but I want to talk specifically about both design principle and design pattern because it is something that can be easily learned yet can give you a huge benefit. To give a rough explanation, you can say the design principle is like a rough guide for programmers to design their code, classes, and methods. One of the famous design principles is the solid principle. Meanwhile, the design pattern is more like a solution of a specific code implementation that can help programmers to solve certain problems. Some of the common design patterns are singleton pattern, comment pattern, factory, and etc. I specifically mention these two because some companies require their programmers to know about this even for junior position. But more than that, design principles and design patterns can help you as a programmer to solve your own code-related problems, avoid messy spaghetti code, design better use of class, and many more. Overall, it helps you by making code somewhat less stressful. Maybe, I guess. I hope so. So the next important point that I want to talk about, which is surprisingly useful in many aspects in life, is about soft skills. I used to think that I don't need that much soft skill to work while I'm in university. I was that typical introverted IT student that instead of participating in organization, I rather spend my night studying at my room. Which of course, instead of actually studying, most of the time I end up binge watching some anime. I quite regret that. There are so many instances where I need to present my idea to the team or supervisor, but I end up confusing others. Or the worst is at job interview, where I can barely make sense of what I'm saying. So yeah, don't be like that, okay? The next thing that I want to talk about is joining communities. If you somewhat aspire to make game yourself, even if you don't know how to make one, or maybe just start to learn one, you should consider to find and join a game dev community. Whether it's local or global, try to join one. See what people make, or maybe some cool ideas, or maybe share your creation too, even if it's just a simple project you learn from YouTube. By joining community, you don't only grow your knowledge or gain more inspiration from others. You can also, maybe someday, find someone who you can make game with. Developing video games is really fun, but it can be even funner when you do it with someone else. Especially if you join a jam together with someone that shares your vision of the game, the process will be less tiring and really fun. For the final point that I want to share, which I think encapsulates every point I mentioned before, is that I wish I was brave enough to start early. When I was in junior high school, I actually thought about learning how to make video games, but I thought I didn't have the ability, that it would be very, very hard. Like for the longest time, I thought I need some crazy advanced math and new computers very well in order to do it. While in some cases it's true, in most cases, I don't think I need something that difficult. There are countless guides and tutorials out there. And now, like I said before, there are a lot of tools that help to make the process easier, especially nowadays. For example, people used to need to calculate manually the position and size for the UI component for different game resolutions. Now, many game engines have the features that automate the process. Many things have been simplified nowadays, and sometimes I wish I could start learning about it sooner. I wish I was brave and motivated enough to start sooner back then. Some of the stuff that I learned today, all the basic stuff, I feel like my past self can easily learn it too. The head start that I have would be really helpful. But oh well, it's never too late. So yeah, that's all that I want to share. I made this video to not only to share my really small experience, but I want to remind myself to never forget all the things I said here, that I need to keep improving. In the future, I would like to share more stuff that I learned or things that I want to make to maybe improve myself. So yeah, look forward to things that I will share in the future. I hope this won't be something that doesn't age well.